welcome everyone. We're very excited to present this talk on behalf of the American Zoroastrian Society. We have today Mr. Kaveh Arbab, who talk about the Gathas and how important they are for his family life and what the teachings and learnings are that he has been using in his daily life. I'm really excited for this is part two of our this series of talks. And with that, I'd like to invite Mr. Kaveh Arbab. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming. And I think some of you are returning from last time. I'm going to share my screen. Um, so last time, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, works great.
Great. So last time we focused a lot on the Hashem Vohu prayer. Um, this time, I'd like to focus on Gatha 17. Which is Zoroaster officiating the wedding between his youngest daughter and her to-be husband, um, and really focus on how the Gathas helps me and how I think it can help others in marriage specifically. And ultimately, a good marriage nurtures a good environment for our children as well. So it's all kind of tied into the same idea. Um, the reason I thought of this, thought of doing these types of meetings was, I grew up in a very uh, Christian neighborhood, Christian community. I didn't grow up Christian myself. I was raised atheist. Um, but something that I saw in my community, in my neighborhood, was uh, how people uh, use Christianity and the Bible to help them in their family lives. And, sometimes I would go to their group discussions, like youth groups and stuff like that. Um, and I just thought it was really fascinating how they had this whole community to kind of help each other with their lives at home. And, growing up as an atheist, that's something I didn't have, and it was something I kind of envied. And I didn't necessarily like, not everything necessarily resonated with me about those teachings in Christianity. A lot of it did, but some of it didn't. And of course, when I finally truly discovered Zoroastrianism, everything about the Gathas clicked to me. And I discovered it at quite an opportune time, which was right as my daughter was uh, coming into the world. Um, and, I hadn't found a religion or a real guide up until that point. And I would, we had a dog, his name was Bernie, and he had a disease where his two back legs didn't work. So I had to take him on this specific, and he also was very animal aggressive. So I had to take him on this secluded path by the ocean for walks to like accommodate his situation. And on those walks, when I got to a certain point overlooking the ocean, I would read the Gathas for, maybe 10 minutes, um, and then come back home. But I did this for months, and I went through the Gathas 3 times doing this. And it really just kind of helped me tune my mind into um, becoming a better husband and a good father. And so I'm like forever just grateful for the community that introduced me to the Gathas and for Zoroaster, um, for giving me this message, 3,500 years ago, and for thankful to all of our ancestors and um, Zoroastrians over the millennia who have preserved these words for us to use as a guide. And unfortunately, our voice has been, I think, a little bit obviously diminished in the modern world over the past 1,000 or so years. And I hope that we can use our freedom in the United States uh, to kind of bring that message back. And so that's kind of the thinking of why I like to do, why I want to do these talks. So thank you everyone for joining and helping with that mission. Um, I think in modern family life, there's a lot of imbalances and misconceptions about how a family should operate that I think Zoroastrianism and the Gathas can help address and prove. Um, and we have the opportunity to do that in the United States, where we don't necessarily uh, everywhere in the world. So this is a unique opportunity. Um, so I'm going to go through a kind of a bit of a talk that I've put together. And I think one thing that I'd like to really emphasize in this discussion is group feedback. So after I finish my piece, uh, if you're comfortable, you don't have to, but I'd like if everyone in the group could kind of talk about how the Gathas help them in their family life. And if you're not familiar with the Gathas, just maybe how the things that we're talking about speak to you and how it might relate to what you do in your life and in your family. Um, and you don't have to be married or in a relationship for this to relate to you. You grew up with parents and um, you know, you might come into a relationship in the future. You might be looking for that, and maybe this can help with that as well. So, like I said, in Gatha 17, um, Zoroaster is officiating the wedding of his youngest daughter. Um, uh, so he focuses on marriage, and to me, this says that in his oldest age, with his highest wisdom, he realized that the union of the two leaders in the family is the most important aspect of a successful and righteous society. In Gathas 17, he acts as the officiant for his daughter's wedding. Her name is Purchista, and he speaks directly to her, saying the following. Uh, Purchista Haichataspa Spitama, youngest daughter of Zarathushtra, may the wise one grant you union with him who is steadfast in good mind and united with righteousness and the wise one. Therefore, consult him with your wisdom and work with the most progressive and munificent serenity. So he specifically states, consult him with your wisdom. Um, this is a powerful message that Zoroaster left us with. Uh, the first thing that he says about marriage is emphasizing the value of his daughter's wisdom in marriage. Um, in other major world religions, there's this belief that the man is the captain of the family and that the woman must obey him. In my opinion, this has led to an imbalance in the world. It puts too much pressure on the man and discards the value of a woman's leadership. And then not in the next verse, but the verse after in 17.5, he says, these words I speak to the charming brides and to you, bridegrooms. Do bear them in mind. Comprehend them with your conscience. Master the life which belongs to good mind. May you each win the other through righteousness. It will indeed be a good acquisition for each of you. So I'd like to focus on the line, may you win the other through righteousness. This emphasizes that respect in marriage is not something that is automatically granted. By simply being a man, we are not automatically due respect and honor. We must earn it through righteousness, and righteousness is achieved through good words and good deeds. There's this modern conception that throughout history, the man was the hunter and the woman was the homemaker. The man earned the food and the riches, and therefore the woman should be subservient to him. However, this paradigm is an illusion, and it's an act of choice that we make that we make in the world. We don't have to choose this paradigm. If we look back to prehistory, uh, the physical builds of men and women were actually very similar, even more so than they are today. Men and women in prehistoric times were actually stronger than we are today. Um, and this is because approximately 80 to 90% of the diet in primitive times was foraged. So, for example, shellfish, fruit, and nuts. Where I live on the coast of Los Angeles, this was the case with the Tongva tribe who lived here only a couple centuries ago. This meant that the roles between man and woman were actually very equal compared to how we conceive it today. And there's a study of hunter-gatherers from Morocco from 15,000 years ago, which shows that up to 80% of their diet comprise of plant foods such as acorns, wild cereals, and pulses. Animal protein was present but not dominant. So men and women were foraging for food together and doing the same amount of physical exercise. That's why their physical build was similar. And then, they would come home and share the responsibilities of the household. So if we look at prehistoric evidence, the fact is that men and women are naturally much more equal than the major conception that we have today. But then some might say, what about battle? It was the men who defended the village. However, this again is an illusion and a choice we make to understand and create a paradigm. Um, if we look at the ancient Zoroastrian Persians, as well as the Scythians and Sarmatians, we see that women were also on the battlefield and in command of armies. The Byzantine historian Joannes Zonaras writes that among fallen and captured Iranians, there were also women who dressed and were armed the same as their male counterparts. Um, some of these women were taken alive, some were found dead in battle, and this is in reference specifically um, to Shapur the First's campaigns, including the Battle of Singara um, and this is King Shapur. And so, throughout Persian Zoroastrian history, um, women were also on the battlefield and commanding militaries. And Shapur defeated three Roman emperors. So he was not commanding a weak army. He was commanding the strongest army in the world, and it was comprised of women as well. Um, we also know that as far back as Achaemenid times, um, women were military commanders in the Persian army. So Herodotus says that after the Persian defeat at Artemisium, Xerxes called a council. Uh, Artemisia, who was a naval commander, this is her right here with her bow, um, uh, advised him not to risk a naval battle against the Greeks in the narrow straits. She said, "Spare your ships and do not risk a sea battle. Why should you risk another naval engagement? Athens and other cities can be taken by land." Xerxes praised her advice, telling her she was the only one who spoke wisely, but unfortunately he did not follow it. Instead, he listened to his flatterers urging battle, and the result was a catastrophic defeat at Salamis, which turned the tide of the war in world history. So, had he listened to his female counterpart, the paradigm of the world might be very different than it is today. And I think that's a repeating um, phenomenon. Uh, we also know that some of the fiercest warriors in ancient times were Sarmatian and Scythian women who could not get married until they killed a man in battle. Um, Also in ancient Sasanian reliefs, such as the investiture of Narses, it's a woman who grants the far, or right of divine kingship, to the deserving king. So this paradigm we live in is a choice, and we have a choice to shift this paradigm since we determine our reality with our consciousness and good minds. Um, so how do we win each other through righteousness? Um, in our household, we can do this through good words and good deeds. So we can achieve equality through good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And let's look at each one. Good thoughts. we have to think of how to support our household, allow our thoughts to be informed by our partner, heed their wisdom and offer yours. We each have unique strengths and perspectives, and we benefit from taking the best of each other's thoughts. So that's what I'm trying to communicate with all this history is no, the man doesn't know best about everything. Also, the woman doesn't know best about everything. We're all individuals with our own unique minds, and we're all going to be able to bring our own perspectives to every situation. Um, when Danielle and I are talking about raising our daughter, Danielle just uh, showed me us research about because right now when we play with our daughter, she's very bossy, right? And she's always telling us what to do. You do this, you do this. No, you don't do that. You don't do that, right? So, you know, but Danielle looked into this and found out that what they're doing is at this age of 3 or 4 years old as a toddler, they're learning how to be leaders themselves. So this commanding is just an exercise of leadership. Obviously, it's going to change. Like they're not always going to be yelling at us, and maybe they will. I don't know. Um, but that was like a very valuable insight that I gained from Danielle. And so when our daughter August was bossing around this morning, I thought about what Danielle told me last night about that research, and it helped me engage in this interaction so much better with August because I understood better that what she's doing is she's learning how to be a leader. So I have to let her explore that, right? Um, and then good words. We need to communicate these thoughts with good words, aiming for growth and radiant warmth. Offer words of encouragement and praise. Our families are our strongest source of confidence and safety. So, you know, um, Dan Danielle always tells me whenever I cook dinner, I try to cook dinner and breakfast, most of the week. Um, and she'll always compliment me on the food, and that makes me feel good. And vice versa, I'll compliment her on, her an outfit that she's wearing. And so through these good words, we're radiating warmth to each other, building our confidence when we go into the outside world, and kind of protecting our home base, our hearth, our fire. And another very important thing that, uh, is that we listen to our partner's good words because good thoughts result from good listening. So going back to the example that I was speaking about from last night about what Danielle learned about um, this stage of toddlers learning about leadership. So listening is very important. I have to remind myself of this a lot. It's a habit, right? Listening is a habit. You have to remind yourself and instill these ideas into yourself over and over so it becomes habit. Um, and finally, good deeds. Taking equal responsibility for the household. If most of the household responsibilities fall on one person, the other person will get tired and burnt out, and this will lead to resentment and digression in the household atmosphere. So picking up slack, making sure just as simple as doing the dishes, sweeping, cooking, laundry. If I just expect Danielle to do all of these chores, she's gonna get burnt out and she's gonna get she's not gonna feel good. And that's gonna bring down the mood and the atmosphere of our house. And it's gonna make it less comfortable for our daughter to grow up in that environment. So that's a really important thing, I think. Um, there's a reason that we pray towards fire and that we have for millennia, right? So this is a fire altar from Ardashir from the third century AD. So, over what is that, 1700 years ago? This fire altar, you can see the similarity between that fire altar and the fire altar in Yazd, which has burned for 1500 years. Um, and it's lasted for 1500 years because it's well tempered and consistently attended to. If we don't nurture our own internal fire, it will go out. And if we let it burn too hot, it's going to burn down the house. So this is why we pray to the fire, because it's a reminder that a well-tempered, consistent fire radiates warmth to those around it. It radiates warmth to the household. Our fireplace in our home radiates warmth to us, and it brings us joy. And that goes back to the Hashem Vohu prayer that we talked about last time. So if we temper our fire well, we're going to radiate warmth and happiness to our household, and that's going to create a comfortable and positive atmosphere for our children. So again, how do we nurture our fire? And our our fire is contained within our body and mind. So we have to nurture our bodies and our minds. The way we nurture our body is through exercise. Um, Whether that's taking a walk. I do Pahlavi exercise, which is what our Zoroastrian ancestors did. I think it encourages a kind of uh, wholesome approach to physical exercise, um, exercising every part of the body, jogging, uh, by doing this, it keeps our blood moving and it keeps our minds stimulated. It keeps us healthy, and we're able to radiate warmth to our family better because it's coming through a well-managed temple. Nutrition is extremely important. So having home cooked meals, when when I cook a meal, when Danielle cooks a meal, we're putting love into it, right? And that love then transmits to each other's bodies. Um, and we try to do that with fresh foods and a diverse palate, right? Being conscious of what's going into our bodies, uh, as opposed to processed foods. Can we just cook raw vegetables, uh, fresh meats? Um, Massage, I think, is very important. Helping each other out with massages. We're standing up all day, cooking, going to work, exercising. Our bodies need to be nurtured. So we're able to do that with our partners. We're lucky to have that. Um, so that's another way that we can nurture our fire and through our bodies. Through the mind. Prayer as a way to tune our thoughts. Meditation. You could say prayer, meditation. Whenever I'm able to remember, which is most days, in the morning, I pray towards the sun, the Ashembo, at least the Ashembo prayer. And when I have time, the Yathahu and a couple others. And this reminds me of what I'm here to do with my body and mind, and that's to radiate warmth. That's why I say the Ashembo prayer. Studying, learning new things, stimulating thoughts and conversation in the household. So stimulating our minds through learning new things and then bringing those ideas to the household. Again, that's bringing good thoughts to the household. Good words, thoughtful discussions, and supportive care. Um, there's going to be so many external factors in life that want to come into our home and unsettle things, right? Uh, and that's going to create anxiety in us, maybe depression. Um, but instead of bottling that up, we have a partner to talk to about that, um, or a therapist, whatever that may be. But it's important that we communicate these things. And then when you put these things out into the world, put them, into your safe space with your partner, they're going to come back to you and give you their input from their perspective. And that's going to improve how you deal with that anxiety or depression, whatever it may be. That's something that, Danielle does a lot for me. Uh, and the more open we can be, the more honest we can be, the better feedback we're going to get, and the more truth we're gonna get back from our partner or whoever else it is in our family. And finally, community. Bringing in more, as King Cyrus said, diversity in council is important. Bringing in more diversity in council and thought through community discussions. So that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this talk, and that's what we're doing right now. And, since I became Zoroastrian and leading up to it, I can't count the number of these meetings that we've done together. It's, at least 20, 30, something like that. And they've just been so helpful to me, hearing the wisdom from the others in this group. It's the Gathas are one thing, but Zoroaster talks about the fellowship to talk about the Gathas and to learn from our community. So what we're doing right now and right here is so important. And I'm really thankful that you guys are all here. Um, and so when we do all of these things, we're creating, when we recognize all these things, when we recognize the equality in relationship between man and woman, mutual respect, good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, what we're doing is creating a stable and positive environment for our children. And that's, I think, how we improve the world. Um, and Zoroaster understood this, and that's why he made his last Gatha about the family and about marriage. And I think this is something that was understood in history as well by many of our ancestors. This is King Bahram, and he chose to depict himself on his coins side by side with his wife and his child. And that just goes to show that there's an understanding, there's a wisdom in our faith that these ideas are what leads to um, improving the world, uh, bringing peace to the world, and a productive, progressive society that's constantly improving in the trajectory of Ahura Mazda's creation. Um, and, you know, throughout Zoroastrian history, our ancestors saw the world as a vessel for the cosmic project of the universe to um, improve the energy of the universe and bring us closer to perfection. So in the modern world, it's very easy to look at everything um, as dark, right? As kind of this unfortunate situation we're in because of all the violence and terrible leadership that we have today. But originally, you know, our ancestors saw this world as an opportunity, not as a burden. And that's how I want to see it, as an opportunity to create something beautiful. And I think we can do that. So that covers the bulk of my talk. So I'd like to throw it back to the group and hear what everyone thinks. And specifically, I'd like to hear from everyone how you apply the Gathas to family life, um, and how you radiate warmth in your family. Specific examples, that would be great. Thank you.
That's awesome, Kaveh. Thank you so much for all this wisdom and sharing your thoughts. Do you want to, we can open it up for questions and discussion for the group here.
That would be great.
Are there any thoughts from either folks who want to raise their hand, or we can talk through the chat?
I can,
I,
oh,
if I may something, thank you so much, Kavejan. As always, very, very thought-provoking. I've shared that with you with the first session, and every time I hear you talk about Zoroastrianism, I really, really enjoy the way you bring in um, history, culture, facts, trends, everything together and really make sense out of things. And in this case, which is about family and parenting and all that, it's very important to know where we come from. It's very important to know uh, our past, world history, and how things happen and how things took shape. And I just wanted to share that with you, how much I appreciate the way you put this together.
Thank you, Armand.
Yeah, plus one. I think it's actually quite an amazing talent and why we're so excited for these talks and that we have this recorded now so we can share it with more people as well. But you're weaving the ancient and connecting us to our past, but making it so tangible and modern for today. Like, right? Like talking about the real world things that we do in our day to day. It was getting me to think about how intentional you are and how inspiring that is. Um, Thank you. Mauro, we have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kaveh. This was really very, very interesting. I enjoyed listening to you and really appreciate the effort that you're putting into it to make sure your family really appreciates the Gathas and how they really help. They are timeless. They are absolutely timeless. What even happened 1700 years ago or 2000 years ago, the message of Zarathustra is relevant even today. And that's the beauty of it. And I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope this recording reaches to everybody because it is very important for us to relate to these teachings, especially today when there's so much of suffering, there's so much of pain, so much of dissension over here in the world today. And Zarathustra's message gives us hope. It gives us the hope we need today and how to lead a life that's going to be fulfilling. And what a wonderful gift to give to our children, a message of hope and a message of goodwill. So once again, Kaveh, I thank you, and I thank everyone at the American Zoroastrian Society here who are making every effort to make sure this message goes to everybody. It's a universal language. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Mauro. Artemis, please go ahead.
Yes, I think sometimes we take our families and the ones we love for granted. And I would love to listen to your talk every once in a while to remind myself not to do that and say a word of appreciation. I think it's very important. Also, as you were talking, I was thinking about, um, we should teach this. Not only as adults, we should kind of remind us to ourselves and practice it, but also at religion classes, because, I'm a member of Fezana, co-chair at Fezana Religion Education Committee. And as you're talking, I'm thinking we should make a lesson about this for kids, because these days in schools, um, kids, even friends to themselves, are not using very much of good thoughts, words, or deeds. And they think it's kind of cool or hip not to follow these three tenets. And just a reminder of how important it is to do that. I think, yeah, thank you very much, Kaveh. I just wanted to share it from the other perspective too, not only parents showing as example, but maybe in um, religion classes, maybe we can also teach this to the kids in a different way. Thank you.
100%. Just sharing some comments online from the chat. We have Sherry mentioning she also wishes we could teach this to our teens and youth, which makes 100% sense. Jimmy, did you want to share your comment out loud, or can I read it?
Yeah, you can read it. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, sure. Yeah, we can definitely hear you. Do you want to go ahead, or do you want me to read it?
No, you can read it. Sure.
Okay. Then we also have a comment from Jimmy saying, I personally now use the Gathas in his message to prevent any conflict situations to get out of control, both with my spouse and my family members. To do the right thing instead of being right helps every time. I think that resonates a lot with me, and I'd love to hear Kaveh's thoughts, but he said this already. What is so profound is, and we did this for our wedding ceremony with Nilüfer and I, but trying to win each other over with righteousness and only righteousness every day it's not competitive. It's an inspirational motivation, right? It's like we're trying to help each other progress as human beings, which I think if we were to direct our intentionality to that on a daily basis, think of all the goodness that would create, right? And realizing that righteousness is the best good for all of the living, not just for me, for my wife, for my family. It's all of the existence, right? And if we were trying to constantly, inspire each other in such a way, how beautiful of a world we would create.
It's not always easy either.
No, it's not. And Zoroaster says that, and I forget which Gatha it is he talks about despite our retrogression, we're human, we're flawed, we're gonna mess up, right? Um, I'm not suggesting in any way that I'm perfect, and I'm sure my wife would say the same. Um, but how are we constantly aware of these flaws and how are we working to improve them? That's what I was saying about habit, is we have to be alive every day and remind ourselves of these words so that we can make it a habit and uh, improve our flaws. It's an active choice every single day. It's like Maruk was saying, we can't take our families for granted. Just because we're married doesn't mean, that it's going to be on autopilot, right? Every day is an active choice. Every word we say is a choice. Every thought we have is a choice. Every action we do is a choice. And if we're always conscious of it with the Gathas in mind, those choices are going to flourish into a beautiful life and happy family. I would like to hear uh, and if anyone has input on how they win their partner through righteousness or their children through righteousness. Any specific examples?
Hello?
Hi, Sherry. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, this is Kurosh. I'm Shardad's husband. And I would like to say hello to Kaveh. And what I heard from him, that saying that, of course, we believe that Cyrus the Great was the first person to come up with the Bill of Rights of the human beings, like, men and women are equal. I believe, in a way, it was Zarathustra's words that were said so many years before even Cyrus the Great. And in a way, I believe Zarathustra was the one that said men and women should be equal. And also, one more thing, we believe in good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, but at the same time, we have to live in an ecological life, which is when we keep the environment, everything clean, and that is for us, for all of us, for everybody, for all the human beings on this planet.
Thank you.
Very well said. Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
Kaveh, thank you so much, Kaveh. It was really nice hearing you. I really appreciate, and it was very wonderful. And I want to say hello to Jimmy Dolu, and also to Mr. Arman Ariane.
Awesome. I will just read a couple quick comments and then we have a couple hands up as well. I think from Nilu, we have a comment. I think it's so
Oh,
important to share this message as a reminder between co-leaders of households and what they model mindfully and honestly. This is magnificent and renewing message. A magnificent and renewing message, Kaveh.
Thank you.
And yeah. And then from Shara, we have, I teach Z middle schoolers and have not found some of these sources. Could you please share your sources?
Yes, I mean, this is all from the Gathas. This is from Ali Jafari's translation. Specifically Gatha 17, the last Gatha by Zoroaster, is what we reviewed today.
I mean, it gets me thinking, Kaveh, I think based on a few of the comments, maybe for part 3 or a future part, we can focus a little bit on the kind of kids or children of the household version of family life. I wonder if that could be a pretty powerful perspective and then have like some material to share with different teachers as well.
Agreed.
We could present it on the AZS website. By the way, all of this will be posted on our website, so www.amzsociety.org. Just as a quick plug, so you can always follow the recordings and other information there. With that, Mark, did you have another comment? Please go ahead.
Why don't you have Farshid go? I already have my comment, but I can follow up with him
That sounds
after
great.
him.
Sure,
After him.
sure. Farshid, please go ahead. Oh, Farshid, you're muted still.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Maruk. Kaveh, great talk. Absolutely. Absolutely great talk. 2 points. Artemis says we should share this in the children's religious classes. I think you should, any opportunity you get, you should also share this with adults. Any Zoroastrian activities going on, celebration going on, have them invite you and exactly give the same speech, same talk. I'm sure many, many adults would benefit from this talk. So that was one point here. Another thing I'm just curious, you said that you were atheist and then became Zoroastrian. When did that spark happen? What happened, what revelation you went through that suddenly said, oh, I want to follow Zoroastrianism?
Well,
Just curious to know if it's not personal.
no, it's I was told that God didn't exist from as far back as I could remember, but it never quite registered with me. Um, my grandparents were religious. On my mom's side, they were very, very Catholic. And on my dad's side, my grandma is Muslim. And she taught me about prayer and stuff when I was in Iran. And so because of that lifeline from my grandparents, I kind of always was able to have a kind of openness to God and other personal experiences in life through meditation, um, and just kind of life experience. I always felt that there was an energy behind all of this, right? It seemed just obvious to me, and the atheist explanation never made sense to me that it's all just random chaos. It just never registered. And so I explored other religions, mostly Buddhism, but I didn't like how it kind of encouraged us to withdraw from reality. Um, and also Christianity. But it wasn't when I had my daughter, and when my wife was pregnant, I was very concerned about losing um losing my Persian identity and not being able to pass it on to her, because we're so far removed from Iran. Now she's third generation, or I guess I'm first generation. She would be second generation. Um, and so I just really started digging into my history, right? And it always, the more I dug in, it always came back to Zoroastrianism. And I was just so fascinated by our ancestors and what they achieved. And I realized that the core of that success and that project was Zoroastrianism. And so I said I have to learn more about Zoroastrianism itself. And so I reached out to the CZC, California Zoroastrian Center in Westminster, and they were so kind to send me a copy of the Gathas for free. It was uh, Mitra Dinyari who sent it. And I opened the book, and that was it. the, I read the Hashem Bohu, and that was it.
Beautiful.
And the further I got in, the more it unfolded to me.
Yeah.
And nothing had ever explained the universe and life better to me than the Gathas. And I said, this is it. This is who I am.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Kaveh, and thank you, Farshid, for the wonderful comment and thoughts as well. Armanjan, would you like to say something?
Sure. Kavajan, I think your childhood experiences also contributed to your wisdom and your research. That diversity in your grandparents so close to you was definitely very thought-provoking. Cyrus the Great had the same experience. His father was Persian and his mother was a Mede. So it definitely contributed to that. Many people don't have that blessing. They have to search from different ways and avenues. But back to your question, you said, what the rest of us, what we recommend our kids and our families is, I tell my kids that they don't have to reply or answer or respond instantly to most things that especially are important, because words that you haven't said can always be said, but words that have been said cannot be taken back. So that's why it is wiser to think what you're going to say. That's why we say good thoughts, good words, right? Humata comes before huchta, is that you want to think about this is what you're going to say. Is this really your intention? What you're going to say? Is this really your response? You need to take a deeper look at it. Is it constructive? Is it beneficial to all? So consider all those things before you respond, because you have time. Don't rush into it. So that would be my input.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Meher, do you want to say something? Please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Mare. Thank you, Kaveh. This was so lovely. Um, I I resonated so much with your talk, and I loved how at the beginning you were talking about how you grew up with Christians all around you and how, you were missing some sort of fellowship. And that's what I grew up in too, in London, Ontario. Everybody here is Christian, and I was really envious of people that got to go to Bible study and things like that. So this was really, really nice and refreshing. And I wanted to just share, in my family growing up, like my parents are super religious and practice Zoroastrianism. And so everything that you said in this talk, I feel like I've seen it from my parents, and I feel like that's where it all begins, with everybody. It is like, I guess I don't have one single moment or memory, but I just feel like everything that you talked about resonated so much because everything that I ever did, or me and my siblings did in life, my parents would infuse Zoroastrianism in it just naturally. And I think, even as a kid, if I had a conflict with another kid at school or something like that, I think my parents would kind of always, teach me to tell the truth and just how to deal with that in a way that we would in our religion, which was so nice. And I do have one early childhood memory of learning Tandarosti for the first time. And I just thought it was just so nice. You talked about how you lead with warmth towards other people in your family. And it brought me back to learning Tandarosti for the first time and being able to pray for my family members and my community members and saying their names. And I just thought, wow, that's so beautiful that every day you can pray for your family and your friends and send them love and wish them well. And I don't know why as a kid, Tandarosti was like one of the first prayers that I just memorized right away. And I just loved it so much. And it's still to this day, I think it's just such a blessing that I don't know, your talk just made me really grateful for my parents and how they instilled all this in us as a kid, just naturally, and also respecting the environment and days where we don't eat meat and things like that. Everything just, I guess it was just a way of our life, and we were the only we were one of a handful of Zoroastrian families in London, Ontario. So all we really had was each other. Um, but yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's actually such an important point, and it's something that I didn't talk about, and maybe I'm not as conscious of, but I love that you brought it to the surface, is when I pray in the morning, especially when I say the Hashem Vohu and also Gatha 1.2, where we're asking to grant me through righteousness the blessings of both existences, and material and mental, so that lead my companions to happiness. When I say these prayers, I always think, who am I? What is my intention with these prayers? Whose lives am I trying to radiate warmth to? Who needs it right now? And of course, it's always my immediate family, my wife and my daughter, but it's also my friend whose wife has cancer, and I call him, every day to kind of, I'm asking for strength to give him strength, right? And to give him support so that he can be a light, to help him better be a light in his family. So that's such a great point, is that when we pray, we can think about who we intend those prayers for. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Meher. One quick comment I wanted to make, because it's a core value for us at the American Zoroastrian Society, is we do want to help get the a core of the universality of this message out to everyone, and make sure everyone understands this beautifully ancient but very modern and ever fresh philosophy. So for those who are not familiar with some of these prayers, like, you can go to our website and take a look at the FAQs. It will give you some more information. The Tandurusti prayer is a prayer really around health, and meaning wishing people well. And these are, again, intentional, almost mantras, as Kaveh was saying, where we're not asking for things, but setting our intentions and aligning our intentions and radiating that energy towards our families, our friends, and all of humanity, which I believe is such a powerful connection. So I really appreciated hearing Meher's reflections on how Tandurusti came to mind when it came to this talk and this topic. So thank you so much. Maruk, did you want to make another comment, please?
Yes, just to answer Kaveh's question about children and adults. The first one, we adults need to educate ourselves on this universal message before we can pass them on to our children. It's very important. So I agree with that. The second is, I come from India. I'm a first generation immigrant that has come from India. And in India, we had an excellent system where we prayed. I came from a very traditional Mobed family, and the prayers always had a sense of serenity, tranquility, but really never understood what those prayers meant till we came to this country. I had my daughter. She was 3 years old when I started teaching her the prayer of Shambho. And the first thing she asked me was, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." So I started learning with her, learning all these prayers with her. And that was the journey we embarked upon. And what a wonderful journey that is. Because with her and with my son, we started really understanding why we are praying these and to who are we praying. I wish God was there somewhere to solve all our problems. But that's a greatest lesson, another lesson that I could teach my children and myself is, no one is going to fix your problems. You're going to have to do it yourself. And that's where the Gathas come in, where it gives me the strength, no matter what happens, after doing my best. If things don't work out, I can deal with it. And that is something that is very important for our children. We're not going to be perfect. They're not going to get A's all the time. It's okay if they get a B or a C. It's okay. And so those are the very important lessons. I hope, Kaveh, you teach your daughter and to every parent that it is okay not to get always an A grade or 100%. It's okay. You will never reach perfection, but you can strive for perfection. And so that's just what I wanted to share with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's very beautiful. Thank you, Maruk. Nilu, would you like to make a comment, please? And then we'll probably wrap up unless there's any final comments after Nilu.
I have a young man here who's 11.5 years old who would like to make a comment.
Hi, my name is Kuros, and I think how what Zoroastrianism means for me is just doing the right thing just because you want to do the right thing. Thank you.
He wanted to share some thoughts and heard Kaveh speaking about family and values. And I think That's such a beautiful reminder that at this age, he's not saying because you have to do the right thing or you're going to go to heaven because you did the right thing or some magical bird will fly down and give you a gift. He's saying you're doing it because you want to do the right thing. So thank you, Kaveh Jun. This is a great talk.
Thank you, Kurosh and Yula. I agree, Kurosh.
That's awesome. Any last comments, thoughts before we wrap up and close up for the day? I know we could all probably sit here and talk for a much longer. It's such a beautifully thought-provoking theme and topic, and Kaveh, so eloquently you cover everything. But any final thoughts?
I look
Awesome.
forward to the next meeting.
Yes, yeah. And thank you again, everyone, for joining. Please do follow the American Zoroastrian Society on Facebook, Instagram. We have an email list. The website is www.amzsociety.org. We'll have more of these talks coming in the future. We've also just quick plug is we've started a new series, a video interview series called My Path to Asha, which will share the stories of people who have chosen the path of Asha and Zoroastrianism and sharing their personal and human stories on that journey. So please look out for that. We just have part 2 coming up for that as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Kaveh Jan, and thank you all for the really thought-provoking conversation together. As you all said, we all learn from each other. So thank you.
Thank you for offering this.
Thank you for everyone who came. It means a lot. I'm amazed at how many people are here. So this is fantastic, and I hope we can keep growing. I'm sure that Artemis and Naveed and the AZS are going to share our next talk and do an even better job of promoting it next time. So hopefully we can just keep growing the community. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaveh. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a
Bye,
good
Kurosh.
Saturday,
Look forward to
everyone.
next.
Bye.